unprecedented.
Let's just break into this now. President Trump's been speaking aboard Air Force One a little early. Let's just listen into what he had to say.
We had some very good results today, as you probably heard, in Iran. Very strong results militarily. Results. We're talking to countries about policing the Straits, because they are the ones, we don't get oil, very little, 1%, 2%. China, as an example, gets about 90% of its oil from the Hormuz Strait. And nice to have other countries police that with us, and we'll help. We'll work militarily with, as far as I'm concerned, we've essentially defeated Iran. I guess they can have a little bit of fight back, but not much. Not much. We've taken out their air force, as you know. We've taken out their navy. We've taken out their air defense. There's no air defense whatsoever. We've taken out their leadership times 2 or 3. Might be 3. We'll find out soon. But militarily, it's been amazing. We attacked Targ Island, and we left just one little area standing, and the standing part is where they have the pipes, the oil pipes from them. hundreds of thousands of gallons of gasoline, that they were all essentially destroyed. They weren't destroyed at all. In fact, four of them weren't, not even, I mean, literally were not damaged. And one of them has slight damage and will be back in the air soon. If you read the Wall Street Journal, it's like they were totally decimated and destroyed, like Iran has been. So they put out phony story. The kamikaze boats. The kamikaze boats don't exist. They're fake. And you can almost see that when you look at them. It looks fake. Because if they did exist, we'd hit them just like we hit other boats all over the place. But they don't exist. In fact, some of the people say, where are the boats? Well, how come nobody's seen the boats? You know why? Because it's AI generated. It's fake. And I didn't realize this before we started, but Iran is known for a lot of fake news, and they deal with our fake news. And I actually think it's pretty criminal because our media companies, who have no credibility whatsoever, are putting out information that they know is false. And it's a very dangerous thing for the country. I think they could be in serious jeopardy.
Mr. President, your PAC put out a fundraising email a couple of days ago that's being criticized for using official White House photos of you and dignified transfer. And the PAC is also promising access to secret.
Well, I was at the dignified transfer, unlike a
Do
lot
you
of
think
other
it's an
people.
appropriate email to send? Your critics are saying that your fundraising.
I didn't see it. I mean, somebody puts it up. We have a lot of people working for us, but there's nobody that's better to the military than me. And all you have to do is look at the election, look at the election results, look at the kind of votes that we get, look at the poll numbers. There's nobody that's ever been higher as a president than me with the military.
Can you give a comment on the ABC News?
We're one of the worst, most fake, most
Can you
corrupt.
give a comment on the
You know what, ABC News? I think it's maybe the most corrupt news organizations on the planet. I think they're terrible.
Can you give a comment?
I don't want any more from ABC.
Right here.
You're much better.
Thank you, sir. What's Israel doing to help secure the Strait of Hormuz?
What they're working with us. Relationship with Israel, that was other fake news. They were saying, oh, did I have an argument with maybe not? We really get along well. And he would tell you we're leading the whole thing. And I don't know, they can say it or not say it, it doesn't matter. The main thing is to get it done. But my relationship with Bibi Netanyahu is, I would say, extraordinary, actually.
Yes, sir. If I can.
Go ahead.
When you called for Iran to rise up over the government,
I did.
What's going on there?
You're dealing with thugs. You're dealing with horrible people. You're dealing with people that are violent and vicious. And that's the leadership and the people right under them, their military or their police. And they've notified everybody and they put out statements that if you protest, you're going to be shot and killed. The protesters have no guns. And I know you're a brave person, but I don't think you'd be protesting. And so I think it's very hard for them to protest. I fully understand it. They said, if you protest, you will be killed. A week ago and 2 weeks ago, they killed 32,000 protesters, at least. We think the number's much higher than that. They shot and killed 32,000 protesters who were greatly enthusiastic and want to see a change because they've destroyed the country. The people that are running it destroyed the country. Think of it. They shot and killed much more than 32,000 people. Now they put out a notice 2 days ago that we're going to shoot and kill any protester. And they don't have guns, meaning the protesters have no guns. So I can fully understand why they're not doing it. Oh, one other thing that was AI generated. They showed about 250,000 people in a square saying how much they love Khomeini. Totally AI generated. It never took place. The media knew it didn't take place, but they built it up like they have great support. They don't have support. And that whole rally that they surprised. I looked. It turned out, I found out today, it was a totally AI-generated fake news story put out by news organizations in the U.S. and elsewhere. And honestly, they really shouldn't be allowed to do that.
Mr. President, you mentioned that. Are there any diplomatic talks going on between the U.S. and Iran at all?
Yeah. We're talking to them. But I don't think they're ready. But they get pretty close.
Mr. President, you mentioned
I don't know that I want to make a deal. Because you know what? First of all, nobody even knows who you're dealing with. Because most of their leadership has been killed. As you know. So I don't even know that we want to make a deal.
Mr. President, you mentioned that Iran's
They
military
want to make a deal badly, yes.
Mr. President, you mentioned that Iran's military has been decimated economically in other ways. Are you ready to officially declare victory? Yes.
No, I don't want to do that. There's no reason to. I think I just say they're decimated.
Can you explain
I think that we've done damage to them right now. If we left right now, it would take them 10 years and more to rebuild. But I'm still not declaring it over.
Can you explain
Our military is incredible. The job they've done is just incredible.
Can you
And the problem is that when you look at fake stories written by you people, written by and generated by AI, it's incredible. And I just wonder, like Jeff, do you know that these are fake stories? Did you know that the rally of 250,000 people, the supposed rally, was fake? Did you know? Because you reported on it. You wrote about it. You talked about it. And you knew it was fake. It was AI generated. You didn't. You knew. You knew. Anybody that knew the country knew there's not 250,000 people willing to stand in a circle and say how great Khomeini is.
Are you unhappy that you talk about the military objectives?
Yeah.
What about political leadership in Iran? What type of leadership?
We have people, some are dead, but we have some people that we think would be good, and we will see about that. It's something we talk about. See what happens.
Can you explain why we're sending 5,000 Marines and sailors? Can you explain
You're
why
a
you're...
very obnoxious person. Go ahead, what were you going to say?
I wanted to ask if you talked about about selling oil futures as a way of capping the prices, trying to keep prices down.
The prices are going to come tumbling down as soon as it's over, and it's going to be over pretty quickly.
Do you have any concerns about the political impacts of this? I mean,
I have to do what's right. I mean, politically, I'm sure everybody has concern. I have to do what's right. I can't say that, I don't want to have any impact on oil prices for 3 or 4 weeks or 2 months, and we're going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon and blow up the entire Middle East and beyond, right? Because, they were going to blow up the Middle East. If I didn't terminate the Obama horrible deal, the Iran nuclear deal, it's called, if I didn't terminate that in my first term, they would have already had a nuclear weapon, and they would have used it immediately upon getting it. And if I didn't send in the B-2 bombers to bomb the hell out of it and obliterate, and that's what it was, we obliterated that site and stopped all their potential nuclear. If I didn't do that, you would have had Israel and the Middle East hit by nuclear weapons. And we wouldn't be talking about this right now.
Do you have
President, what do you want to see?
What I did in terminating the Iran nuclear deal, and what I did in sending in the B-2 bombers, it was one of the most incredible attacks anyone's ever seen. Late at night, dark, no moon, and every single bomb went right down those chutes and blew the whole place apart. If I didn't do that, you would have had nuclear warfare in the Middle East, and I think Israel would have been obliterated. I think lots of the Middle East would have been. And you saw that when they sent thousands of missiles to countries that didn't expect anything. They didn't think we were going to be involved. And yet you look at what happened with Kuwait, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar. You take a look at Qatar. They sort of got along. And all of a sudden they're being barraged by missiles. These people would have used nuclear on the entire Middle East. And that was their plan, take over the whole Middle East. And it failed with the nuclear. And then they had thousands of missiles. And for the most part, largely, we've now destroyed those missiles. Thank you very much.
What do you want to see in a deal?
You're talking to Cuba. What do you want to hear from them?
Well, I am Cuba's a failed nation. Cuba also wants to make a deal, and I think we will pretty soon either make a deal or do whatever we have to do. We have a lot of great people that happen to vote for Trump. Not that that matters, but we have a lot of great people from Cuba that were violently and viciously thrown out of the country, and worse, their families were killed. And so we're talking to Cuba, but we're going to do Iran before Cuba.
What is
And you know, people have been waiting 50 years to hear this story with Cuba. When I left Palm Beach today, there were thousands of people on the road. I'm sure you saw them. And they were from Cuba and from Venezuela, all friendly, waving the flag and waving the American flag. They've been waiting 50 years for what's happening with Cuba. So I think something will happen with Cuba pretty quickly.
Do you have an idea of the Iran strike? Is it looking more like that it was the U.S.'s fault? Meaning the Iran strike that happened on the first day of the war?
We don't know. That's under investigation.
Mr. President, what do you want to see in a deal with Iran to end the war, and how does that differ from Israel's objectives? You said they might have different objectives.
I think we have similar objectives, really, but it could be a little bit different. They're there and we're very far away, but I think we probably have pretty similar with Israel. And the relationship has been very good. The militaries are very well coordinated. Ours is the strongest by far in the world, and they have a real good military. They're really good. They have a lot of our weapons. They have our planes. They have our missiles. They have our Patriots. They have a lot of our weapons. We have the best. We make the best weapons in the world. And now what we're doing, as you probably saw, we have the Raytheon and all of the Lockheed. All of these companies are now building plants because we don't want to wait. We make the best weapons, but we don't like to have to wait for them. What we do have, though, is at a very high level, we have unlimited weapons at a medium to high level. And they're really doing the trick. And we're not using they call it the elite weapons, because frankly, they haven't, outside of the original attack, they haven't been necessary.
Sir,
These companies are building facilities, and they've already started all over many of them are building many buildings right now to make so that we wait 2 weeks instead of 2 years for weapons.
So last week you said that we're nowhere near sending ground troops to the Middle East.
I don't talk to people like you about that. I mean, why would I tell you I'm sending or not sending? I don't talk about the military strategy. Who would talk about it? I mean, who would answer a question like that?
Do you have a comment on the 6 service members?
Go ahead. Who else?
What do you want to see in a deal? Because earlier you said reportedly that...
Well, you start off with there will be no nuclear weapons. That's where it starts. And then on top of that, there's plenty of things that we're going to get. Thank you very much.
Comment about Israel?